I love what you do with the podcast. And we've got a few of my chef friends who's been on there.
Yes, well, I saw that you were at Ish, and I spoke to someone maybe before you came. Actually.
I've been around Melbourne.
I know. Well, actually, Michael, I was really interested because now you've got this title. We've had it for a couple of years of Culinary Creative Director.
I know, it's a mouthful.
So that means that you oversee several venues. What's that shift like going from being a head chef to being more of a concept maker?
It's quite natural for me, especially somewhat of a transition I've been trying to make since lockdown, where that was the first period I hadn't been working full time. I've been cooking since I was 14, so my body is tired. And with lockdown, it really pushed me to explore my other interests and skill sets. Trying to still work within hospitality because I tried to escape many years ago. I cannot. But definitely wanted to do something more than just the cooking of the food and looking at things holistically and solving problems that I really enjoy. So that transition was natural, but I still got to get better at it because the habit of needing to be wanting to be physically cooking is still there.
And hello as well. And I was interested to know then how that works when you bring a head chef into one of the venues. How does the relationship work, or how do you delineate between roles?
On my side it's very important for me that the chefs have both their hands on the food, that it's not just coming from me, because I don't believe just handing over a recipe makes a good experience for the chefs or the customers. So it's more about helping guide and pushing their skill sets as well, going, okay, this is awesome, how can we make it better? What's the technique they haven't used? How have you found this one?
I feel like he's been handling all of the paperwork side, so then it allows me to think and kind of like work the team, kind of like manage and see what everyone should be at, and then ideally just guide them towards a certain direction.
And when it comes to menu creation, is that something you worked on together?
Yes. So I started out with building out the framework, some of those ideas that have been floating in my head for a while. And then when I came on board, we sit down and like, okay, so this is the concept, this is the general direction we want to head, and this is where I am at now. Please review, and what are your ideas? Like, is there anything that you wanted to do? And then we both got into the kitchen and started R&Ding, playing around with dishes, and just trying to create a menu that we like to eat.
Yes. So this is a big venue now. So everyone knows what they used to be Madame Brussels, but this was all behind a wall, and so now you've got this large dining room, and we can see on the screen beautiful terracotta glow, which I really love. You've also got the rooftop, and there's an omakase bar. So in your menu, I felt like the dining room menu is quite playful and fun, and you've got that 1980s Tokyo vibe and so on. So how do you balance omakase and then Shibuya fun vibes?
I think so. I've been obsessed with Japanese food since I was really young. I guess one of the things I didn't like about some omakase experiences is how long, and there's a lack of being relaxed and kind of just feeling in the moment. Sometimes they're going on for 3 hours, which is good sometimes, but just trying to bring a bit of fun into that space as well. we do get to be a bit more playful for, say, the rooftop bar menu because I feel that's the energy that it's looking for. But we do believe that the good techniques, good flavors should be across every section.
Yeah.
You know, so as long as everyone's having good food and a good experience, that is the baseline.
So can you give me maybe some examples of some particular dishes on those menus then? I know that the sando is a popular one, which is a bit of a riff on a McDonald's
Yes.
sandwich. Maybe why you could talk to that.
I believe this is more of a idea where he's wanting to kind of like bring in the Japanese McDonald's kind of like standard expectations over here. We would like kind of like build it and alter it in a way that we would enjoy it and kind of give that same foundation as what it is, but in our own interpretation.
Yeah. And the rooftop menu, is that more like finger food type thing, or what are you eating out there?
So yeah, look, didn't want to create a dining experience whereby you're waiting on courses.
Yeah.
If I think about the way I like to experience a space like that, it's enjoying some sunshine, a good drink, and tasty bites that you're just grabbing, no fuss. We still have items like sashimi, which I guess can be finger food if you want.
Yeah.
But yeah, like just making it a little bit less fussy, and we still will be expanding on that menu.
Okay.
But want the team to gradually get there. You know, with quite a few offerings, we want to make sure that they're scaling up correctly and not having too much on their plate going into a launch. So there's still a few dishes that are in our back pocket for outside that we'll get through once we feel the whole team is comfortable.
Yeah. And in the dining room, what would be the ideal way to get a feel for your flavours? Do you start with some smaller things and move into some larger dishes? Is it shared? What do you...
I would do a bit small things and then kind of approach the larger things. It is a shared style, so we always try to incorporate it enough for two people. Like, I think everything on the menu we have right now is quite tasty, just slight tweaks that we are doing to make it more better than what we want it to be.
Yeah. Do you have some favourite dishes on the menu?
I do like the wings. So chicken wing skewers. We've got a black garlic schmaltz that we've worked on. It's pretty much oil, garlic, rendered down to kind of like make it a bit crispy. We incorporate more flavour into it, and it kind of builds that structure of that. We do have a few other dishes that are very nice as well. Everyone's been loving the carbonara that we made lately. So soy base. We've got cheese in there, we've got miso in there, and we've incorporated onto an egg to kind of give it a bit more of that carbonara style vibe as well. So
Delicious. And you've got some interesting desserts as well.
yes, the desserts have been fun playing around with currently what's in season. Generally at the end of the season we bring the fruits in and break it down into like a sorbet or something very light, very refreshing to kind of finish off the night.
So you were at Kisumé before you were here. When did you feel drawn to Japanese food?
It would have been around pretty much when I just started. The first place I went was a kind of like a half Japanese French cuisine, and the other half was like a Chinese kind of theme. It was called Duck Goose,
Yes.
which was like probably 20 years ago, give or take, 15 years ago.
Wow.
They were like a small business that opened up in Queen TV. Yeah. That's where I kind of started my journey of like doing Japanese food, and then I left that to go into more like a faster paced casual style restaurant before I got into Nobu. Yeah. And so pretty much Nobu had kind of like built that foundation, whereas the other place kind of like started me off to understand it.
Yeah. And how did Nobu refine your understanding of the food?
I believe it was just kind of like working the place, having the resources of like all the products, and then kind of like learning and developing the skill sets that everyone already had, and then just incorporating certain flavors, certain styles of food, techniques to kind of build.
Wow. Have you been to Japan?
I did go about 8 years ago with a couple of friends. We went on a kind of like a 3-week trip. Did a bit of everywhere. Had one of my friends as our tour guide as well, so it was great help. And then just went there, everywhere.
Yeah.
Just constantly eating, and then I gained heaps of weight.
And Michael, you've been there as well? Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
and also just booking a trip now for April, which I'm really looking forward to be able to explore some of the areas that I've wanted to before, especially Fukushima Island, which been on my bucket list for forever. Just trying to get a bit out of the main cities and explore some of the other areas. Very excited about that.
And sometimes when you enter into something, I feel as though then you know what you want to know, and so you probably know there's different things you want to try now because you've been exploring a bit more.
Yeah. No, that's definitely true because there's a lot of like the base things that we've had a lot of exposure to, especially Japanese food in Melbourne. We've been going through that third wave recently, and it's been very amazing to experience. So to be able to go there and then get a bit more off that beaten path and explore a few things that haven't had some limelight, I think is really fun, and just tasting what is around, because like any country, regionality does change so much, and just understanding how the produce is different, how the people are different, and how that affects the cuisine, I think is a very interesting aspect of food and culture.
Absolutely. And there are so many traditions around Japanese food and cooking. How are there rules around how much you can play with things as a chef, or can you, often we talk about authenticity and then the dirty word fusion, which is, I don't think we talk about that anymore, we just talk about playing around with things.
No, now we call it modern Australian.
Oh yeah, that's right. How much can you play with tradition without being disrespectful?
I definitely think somewhat there is a line, however, there's also not. When you're talking creatively and art, you can put out whatever you want, that is your expression. However, I do believe you have to, depending on what you're trying to do, you have to pay respect to the food and the culture that comes behind it. At the same time, play everything. You're allowed to do anything in the world, but I do think that for my personal journey within food, it is about exploring the authenticity and the history behind food, and then adapting that, because like even fusion, at one point all dishes are new or fusion, and I like to say, for example, look at Japan, like with tempura. At one point, where they didn't have oil and the Portuguese didn't introduce that dish didn't exist. So it was new and was considered at that one point like a fusion or brought in. And then trying to find out at what point does that become just a national type of dish or become ingrained in the culture.
That's right.
So there's always, this little split. And that really interests me, because the way food moves around the world and gets introduced really shows the culture and the history of the people. So there's a line somewhere.
Do you think about food 24/7?
I know I do.
I feel like there's always something in your head, like either a dish or something you want to eat or something you want to build. Like, it's always there in the back of your mind, whether you're doing something else completely different. Like there's always something like, oh yeah, I want to do this, and then you forget about it and then come back again.
Yeah.
Because if it isn't about food, it's about organization, or system, or something. But
So are you writing things down, ideas or things that inspire you, or is it just on your phone through photos? I mean, are you spreadsheet guys? I mean, maybe you have to be now when you're a
I
director.
built a lot of spreadsheets. I wouldn't say I typically not that I don't really write anything down. Going into menu development, I typically will have like 2 months where I just choose an album to listen to, one album, and then just absorb things around me. Go eat out. I typically look at things outside of food to gain inspiration, and outside the cuisine itself to see what others are doing. But ideally, I try not to write anything down for at least 2 months, and then get in the kitchen and see what comes out from that experience. Because sometimes I feel like at a certain point, writing it down, you're kind of blocking yourself off from some possibilities.
Yeah.
But then it gets to the point where you better write it down, or else there's too many moving parts that some things that would have been real gems gets lost, which has happened to me, where there's a component that would have fixed something, but you're trying to do 10 other things at the same time. Because I didn't write that down, definitely try to get better at it.
Did you say you have a certain album when you're...
Yes, so typically all launches I do, well, not the same album, it's always typically one new album for that launch, which helps define the sound and emotions that I want the food to express.
I love that.
Yeah.
What was it for here?
This one actually was two, which Paid in Full by Jesse Reyes, which just had this energy that I really loved, and as it echoed off the Stoop by Jimmy Nice and the No, which had this journey that I wanted to replicate, but also try to take customers on somewhat of a journey that I know is partially introspective, but I don't know, that's the second word that I want to put there. It helps. Some of the chefs are like, here, not so much. I haven't had to deal with it because I am not in the kitchen 24/7. But yeah, sometimes where they have to listen to that same album every day for the R&D, and definitely I imagine get frustrating if they're not ADHD.
Not everyone's on that same journey.
Yes.
Wow, that's amazing. And this is a vinyl bar with disco balls and all. So that's really interesting that you have that way of processing things. I wondered, does the environment, obviously it's the menu reflects the environment and the vibes and so on, but does it affect the way you approach cooking?
I don't think so.
No.
I think it's just more like, in terms of the kitchen, the understanding the concepts, the processes that you do is how the kitchen will work, whereas the vibe outside doesn't really match with what the kitchen energy is.
Yeah.
So you don't walk in, see the disco balls, and then kind of like shimmy into the kitchen and then like, no.
The kitchen sets their own vibe.
Yeah.
I think, the only thing that changes, I guess, how we present food to match the environment. Because obviously it will be a bit of a disconnect if you get this highly intricate plate in a setting that's meant to be more relaxed. So I guess that's what just changes that flow of the kitchen. But I think in general, like whether this was say just a burger shop or a fine dining, I think would still have the same expectations of the chefs in the kitchen of, food has to be good, the produce has to be good. I think that same expectation would be there.
Yeah. And Michael, you were saying you started cooking at 14. You were in the kitchen at 14. Is that you just always knew that's what you wanted to do?
No, not really. I think it was high school at year 10. It was actually the last day of school the year, and found out from someone that we had a traineeship program that would enable me to work 2 days a week and get paid, get certificate too. I was already doing like cooking in school, doing well. My father was a chef, so just being in hospitality forever. But I don't think I ever pressured like, okay, this is what I want to do in life. But it was an amazing creative outlet that, especially as a kid, whereby you don't know what you need. It filled up my time, gave me an outlet, introduced me to people. It was really good. Then also did a after-school program. We had a masterclass where we had a chef from the industry come out and teach us each week. So I just really focused on food and music. Yeah, those were just 2 classes. Yeah, filled out and really enjoyed them. And then kind of just kept working. I was working 3 jobs throughout high school: McDonald's, a Japanese restaurant, and an Italian production kitchen.
Okay.
I was tired.
Yeah, and you mentioned that you have tried to step away from hospitality. What is it that keeps you in it?
Partially the chaos. I think so. I know there's so much more creative outlet in it even than just the food. Because even say in the kitchen, the systems are its own thing that is a great mental exercise. And then there's the people aspect. Like there's so many factors in being a chef. And like we were talking last week about the skill sets that you acquire as a head chef these days. Also, and versus what we actually get taught. Like there's a very big disconnect about the skill set that is actually required.
Yes.
And I do really appreciate how much we have to learn and how much it helps us in the rest of our lives, but the disconnect between what you get taught in the tape or even just to get, certified is
Absolutely, yeah.
really, really high. Especially in Australia, because of our weight costs, we have to wear multiple hats. And I found this ultimately a good thing, while it can be frustrating, but again, the skill sets that we have to walk out with, and when you go, say, work overseas, you definitely start to see how many tasks we've had to do ourselves, and not being able to have 20 people in the kitchen, hiring one person just to come pick herbs. So it's definitely a big skill set.
Yeah. And what was it for you? Did you that drew you into being a chef? Was it something you aspired to be, or you?
No, not really. During my high school years, it was like I didn't really know what I wanted to do. People were pushing me towards certain different things like career counseling, guided me to different directions. But I really just kind of floated a little and just I'm just going to be at school for the sake of being at school, because I felt like I wasn't ready to actually leave the space because I was too comfortable where I was. And then ideally what happened was eventually I decided to, let's just do culinary school. And then after high school I went to culinary school and then started slowly there. And then eventually it kind of built up until where, this is what I kind of want to do, because of what I feel as when I go out to eat, I like to sit down, just enjoy food, company, and just having a normal conversation with any person, whether it's a friend or relative, and then just enjoy the space and enjoy the food and have a good time.
Yeah, nice.
I think it's absolutely crazy that always expect us to know what we want to do in high school.
Oh,
And,
so
like,
true.
We are absolute idiots back then. Like, we don't know the world, we don't know ourselves.
Yeah, it's so true. Yeah, I'm actually a teacher as well as a podcaster, and my year 12s just had their final exam, French exam, and it's true. How can you possibly know at 17, 18?
Yeah, you haven't explored the world yet.
You're quite sheltered from everything as well.
Well, without being exposed to things, you don't know what the options are, do you?
Exactly.
So, yeah.
And then you kind of they try to put us on that path straight away, which understandable because good things do take time. But like even me, it's like after say so many years in the kitchen, going, oh wait, I actually have all these other interests, and especially like if you go straight into cooking, that is your entire world.
Yes.
Which I'm definitely started to learn over that lockdown period. I'm like, do I have any friends that aren't chefs or bartenders? Or, this outside my high school friends, do I know people that I don't work with? Which is something that happens to a lot of chefs. And I think COVID helped for that when they stepped away from head chefing and just went around helping chefs. And just being able to step out of your own venue and work with others was an experience that actually did more for me than like 10 years of cooking before that. Yeah.
And maybe that is that also because of maturity and then also knowing what you needed to know. I think all those things, as you say, when you start off in TAFE or doing apprenticeship or whatever, you're not necessarily being taught some of those business skills you need as a head chef and people management and all of those kinds of things. But maybe you can't learn that at that stage either. So I usually end with this question, and maybe it's a good one to ask now, but what would your advice be to a young person starting out in the industry?
Honestly, don't know.
That is, I guess, a true, honest reply, and only do it if you've got a passion for it, because I don't think it's an industry that is suitable just to pay bills. There's a lot better ways to pay bills. Even you can still work with food. There's so many other ways to work with in food without being in the restaurant industry, I guess. But you need to be passionate. Right? That's the only way to survive. And just listen and thinking. I think the number one thing that I always advise the chefs that if they think about what they're currently doing, whatever task, and then think about what they're going to do next, that solves so many problems, because it's the one thing that autopilot is the death of a chef. Like, absolute death of a chef. Once they stop learning, stop thinking, that's when they're like, well, I might as well just be home. You're like, no, I stand by my answer.
It's ideally, I wouldn't recommend anyone to join it. Having like a little bit of like passion towards cooking can help you guide through it, but you need to have this kind of strong mindset, a strong like thinking, kind of be like open to these ideas before you can actually jump into a kitchen and be like, oh yeah, I'm happy to do this, I will enjoy this. Because after a certain period of time in your career, you start coming back. It's like, do I really want to do this? It's like, was this the only option? Like, should I have thought of something else to do? And it comes back constantly, especially when it starts dragging out in a specific like kitchen. Like, you've been here too long. So if you're not learning anything, you're not building, like developing a certain skill set or whatever, you start feeling all these things, and it's like, should I either leave this job?
No, I definitely had that question many times. That you're going, what if I just did something different? Then there's those moments where like, I love this. Like, this is amazing. Like, it's, I guess, high highs and low lows. The hard work does make things worth it, and I mean, I think probably similar to you, whereby in that earth here, one of the things that I think was magical about hospitality is just friends and family sitting at a table eating food together. I think just that experience is a very magical experience. Like, just especially the Chinese round table, like, I think that I love that experience. For me, like, even on birthday, the one thing if I could do is just sit at a round table, have some good food, have some good wine, and good people. So I think, like, that's one of those experiences that keep drawing us back in. Like, even outside the kitchen when we're cooking for our friends and family, those are some of those highlights, I think. And then obviously time in the kitchen feeds that skill set, not just in terms of like making tasty food, but providing hospitality to the people we care for. And yeah, eating and drinking.
Eating and drinking, so great. Well, thank you, and I know that you're about to enter into service, and so congratulations on the launch. It's I love it here. I've told everyone about it, so looking forward to coming back and having more of your delicious food. But thank you for your time.
No, thank you so much. Thank you yours. Yeah, no, I'm very happy we did this. Yeah.